Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Pranic Healing Podcast. On this episode, we have Coach Nupur. Nupur is a very experienced pranic healer, a coach, intuitive, and today we're going to talk about a very special topic related in the field of psychotherapy, research, and related to pranic healing. So please welcome Nupur.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Nupur.
Thank you
So
for
thank you so
inviting
much
Dr.
for
Jason.
being on with us. And thank you for, again, taking your time to speak with us on such an important topic. I think that especially in the realm of psychotherapy, research, and pranic healing, there's so much exciting new information. And I think that it just helps move the work forward when we have any type of, science or evidence-based materials that shows pranic healing is working. But before we get into all of that, Nupur, can you just give us a little bit introduction about yourself, a little bit of how you got started in pranic healing and how you got to where you are now?
Well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Jason, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And then just a little short synopsis about myself. So I am Nupur. I call myself coach. I'm a certified professional coach, and I'm also a certified energy pranic healing psychotherapist. So I've done my certification in psychotherapy, especially, and I'm an intuitive. And I do a lot of intuitive work, like readings and things like that. And I love working with people who come to me, and it's fantastic how each realm, meshes into each other. And it's so beautiful to work with pranic healing, especially as we are talking about the topic today related to psychotherapy, that how pranic therapy has been I've had very successful results using
Mm,
pranic psychotherapy, and starting from small cases to the
sure.
complex cases, as we'll talk about as we go along. So that is pretty much it for me. And I've been
Thank you.
doing
Yeah.
coaching and healing for last, I think, more than a decade. It's been roughly decade and a half.
Wow.
So I love what
15
I
years?
do. Yes,
Yeah.
roughly. Yeah.
That's quite a bit of time. So again, I wasn't overstating it when I said you were a very experienced healer, and I think what you mentioned is very very interesting because in pranic healing we have different levels of certification, right? In the certification that you said
Yes.
the title that you hold, certified pranic psychotherapist, that's the highest level, correct?
Yes, at the moment, that's the highest level.
That's the highest level. And to achieve that, you have to do like many um, different types of cases and have to show, successful results, correct? So is that correct?
That's right.
With your patients and all your clients? Okay. Because I know that, one thing that I love about pranic healing is that, speaking on the topic of being research and evidence based, we have what's called these case studies. So case studies for every patient, every
Mm.
client. Some clients might have different conditions. Can you just share a little bit about your different case studies, just to kind of start us off with what pranic psychotherapy is and how it's applied to a patient with a psychological disorder and what you do, things like that.
Right. Yes. It's actually very interesting because I think in the world that we live in today, stress, anxiety is the most common. I think every person is going through it. And especially during COVID time and after the COVID situation, most of us have different levels of stress. Now, again, stress is a very simple terminology we use for like a daily thing, like, oh, I'm stressed. But it can have a very big impact over a long period of time. So, as I understand it, if you're having a long period of stress, over a long period of time, it can keep adding up. And finally, there could be situations where we have depression. And when then depression starts piling on, we have severe depression and so on and so forth. So, what I'm trying to say here is that stress, as simple as a normal daily stress, can lead to a long term effect, impact, so to speak, unless we treat it, or, like normally people go and, get medication or some exercises. And so, having said that, we use pranic healing in psychotherapy, which basically means we help people to deal with stress through various tools and tips. One of them, as we all know, you must have heard, is the Twin Hearts meditation, which simply a person, if which I strongly recommend, and so would you, I'm sure, is that a person can work on themselves by simply doing the Twin Hearts meditation, and that can have
Mm,
a very major impact. Having said that, it has been seen that all the major physical issues that we have in our lives are basically originating from our emotions. Having said that, even as critical cases as cancer, or like the cases that I've done, like ADHD, or like heart attacks, paralysis, asthma, diabetes, um, arthritis, there is a lot of component of psychotherapy, which means our emotions. Our emotions play a very big role, whether it's a small everyday stress or a very,
mm.
complex case like the one that I just described.
Interesting. And if I could pause you there, it sounds like even if a person has something physical, like you said, like arthritis or asthma or even cancer, there is a big psychological component to it, which can be further addressed with pranic healing, with psychotherapy, right?
Yes, absolutely. So,
Okay.
pranic healing is not just like for physical health, it's for emotional, mental, and spiritual health as well. So, it
Hmm.
encompasses a lot of things.
Hmm. That's pretty incredible. I mean, I think that, we're talking about something truly revolutionary right here, right? Because, like you said, modern medicine approaches stress, emotion, psychological disorders from a very, mechanistic point of view, like what's wrong with their brain
Mhm.
chemicals, what's wrong with their hormones, right? But once you know the energy part, the pranic healing part, right, you can really address the root cause of these issues, right? Because like you said, stress is so ubiquitous, such a big term, but what's really going on? And that's my next question. So when you do psychotherapy with your patients, your clients, Nupur, what do you find in their energy centers? What's it like?
What's it like? Well, what actually happens is that in the energy world, things happen first in the energetic level, right? Now, if we are proactive and we are healing, like for example, a person is feeling stressed and it's in the energy of the person, and we start the healing process, what actually happens is the energy starts, we can work on reducing the stress energy and harmonize that with the loving energy, replace that with the loving energies, accepting energies, peaceful energies.
Mm-hmm.
But if these energies which exist in our energy body are not taken care of, it starts
Mm,
coming down and starts manifesting issues in our physical body. So, as we go along, as the time passes on, the energy body that we have, all the meridians, which we call meridians or nadis, they start getting clogged. And as we all know, energy body, we talk of chakras. So there can be chakras in which it gets stuck. There can be a lot of things and energies which block the flow of the energy from one place to another, which can
mm,
also have a physical impact, but also deep level of emotional impact, and also a lot in mental health.
mm.
So, just
Interesting.
a simple psychotherapy can have an impact at all the levels.
Hmm. So it sounds like from what you're saying, right? Because the energy is sort of like the blueprint for not only the
Yes,
physical body but for your emotion. So if you change the blueprint, you change the energy, you change the emotions, you change the physical body, which is very
absolutely.
incredible. Because that's what we try to do with acupuncture, right? Acupuncture is
Hmm.
a type of energy medicine modality,
Yeah.
thousands of years old, and a lot of people describe pranic healing as like acupuncture without needles, just
True.
working directly on the energy body as you've discussed. And you mentioned like the flow of the chakras or the energy centers being blocked. What's some common energy centers or chakras that in psychotherapy that we commonly work on and are commonly blocked, if you will?
Right. Okay. So that's a very interesting question, actually, and which has many levels of answer. And having said that,
Yeah,
if there
just a
are
simple answer
typically
for
four or
our
five.
audience. Just
Yes, so four or five main chakras, which are definitely most likely affected, are the Ajna
hmm
chakra, which is right here, which affects our thinking, like the will to do things. It can get stuck in your throat, which can lead to your like creativity issues or like overthinking, criticizing, all that aspect of our lives where we are not
mm
happy with or the expression part of our lives. So whether we are receiving it or giving it, it affects in that sense. It also impacts our solar plexus chakra, which is called the basic clearinghouse of our emotions. That's where, so if you look at the body, the solar plexus chakra is right below our heart, right? It's in the front part of the chest, and another chakra that lies at the back, facing the backside. So these are
mm
the chakras that are right in the center of our body. So if the center chakra is blocked, then the energy is hard to go up or down. So if the energy is blocked in the middle section, it affects not only how we think and all, but the lower level, how we work, how, all the other aspects of life, which basically means it could
mhm,
also lead to depression. So the other chakra, which
mm
is related to depression, is our basic chakra, which is at the back, on our
mm
tailbones, right? So, having said that, these are few of the very important chakras. And since solar plexus is affected, it also affects our heart, which basically means the energy, how much love we feel. And it blocks us from feeling the love for ourselves and hence at the end,
mm.
love for the others. So, a few of these chakras are the ones that are majorly affected.
Wow. And that's incredible, right? Because, I appreciate what you're saying so much, Nupur, because, in being a certified pranic healing psychotherapist, it takes a lot of work, right? You have to work through a lot of these different clients, different patients. They have all different types of issues. But it sounds like, there's these common energy centers that are commonly blocked, congested, or affected by these psychological disorders. So
True.
it's very interesting because, just like in medicine, you can have, the same people with the same diagnosis. Sometimes they
Mm,
express their symptoms very differently, right? Sometimes, most of the time, it could be the solar plexus, right? As we know, but sometimes it could be the heart, or sometimes it could be the basic, or sometimes it could be the ajna. But what's so amazing with pranic healing is that we have the power, we have the tools to scan and to figure out, what's right, what's wrong, what's off balance. So I appreciate what you're saying because, of course, in your experience, you work through so many clients, you have that knowledge to tell us about this. And, as you were saying that, I was like, oh, yeah, ajna, overthinking. Yeah, that's me. Solar plexus, clearinghouse, a lot of lower emotions. Definitely something I work on myself. So it's not just for patients, it's for ourselves too. And I'm sure you use psychotherapy on yourself as well, right? As a healer.
absolutely. There's that we
Yeah.
need to work on. Like I think, like in coach, we say every coach has a coach for themselves. So every healer, either he needs to heal themselves or need to have another healer healing you. Either way,
Right.
yes,
Okay. And to move on to our next point, thank you for sharing that. Something I brought up was you're doing research in this area with the pranic healing psychotherapy, which is very interesting, right? Because I think like you and I, we see a future where pranic healing is incorporated into more of mainstream medicine, right? You can use it in clinics and hospitals and really just to give everyday people access to these tools. So can you just share us? I know you can't tell us everything, right? But can you just tell us a little bit about the details and some exciting news about what you're doing and what you're involved in and how you get started with that?
Okay. Yes. So I was involved in a research project, which is being done by one of the pranic healers, and she is doing her PhD, and the university agreed to use pranic healing modalities, and we a couple of us who volunteered to help the patients with three specific symptoms, which is basically stress, anxiety, and depression. And that's what the research is based on. So I do not have the entire data, nor I can share that with you. You will read it as it is being going to be published after the analysis
Sure.
and everything is done. But the main dissertation was based on pranic healing as a complementary alternative modality for psychological symptoms. So that was the topic of the research. And that's how we worked on our patients. And we were supposed to do like a couple of sessions. So each of the volunteer had to do a couple of sessions based on the guidance from Master Chiva's books, where we are explained how to heal stress. So we all follow the same procedure, which is what makes it more scientific, because Master has
Mm.
clearly written step by step, if you have stress, what exactly needs to be done. Having said that, as you go along, you learn to pick up as you become more proficient. You learn and you pick up other things as you go along. But for the purpose of the research, we all follow the same protocol with our patients, with the same number of sessions, and once a week or twice a week, whatever was being told to us, which was basically 3 times a week, alternate days. So each one of us followed that protocol, and the data is being collected, and soon you will have the results.
Wow, that's exciting, and I want to kind of emphasize what you're talking about there. It's so important that we first have that research out there, and two, you're mentioning the protocols in pranic healing that was
Yeah.
developed by Master Choa Koksui, and I loved how you said, it's a standard, right? You follow basically, like we said, you follow a recipe, step one through the last step. Everyone's doing the same, whether once a week or twice a week, and if you follow a recipe, you should at the end get a cake, right? If you're baking a cake, you should get a pie if you're baking a pie. So I think that's so important, right? Because I think in other energy healing modalities, there's a lot of wiggle room. You can do whatever you want, right? It's a very creative, very intuitive process. But I love pranic healing because you can still use that intuitive process, but ground it into a science, right? Where it's a step by step protocol, which really differentiates us from other protocols, right?
Well,
Is this
yeah.
something that sounds correct to you, Nupur?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. That even as a profession, but that doesn't mean a person who's just learned pranic healing. For those of you listening, and somebody wants to join, even with your start of the pranic healing psychotherapy, you can still heal the patients by
Yes.
just following step by step protocol given by Master Choa Koksui. It's so sweet, so simple, and that's the best part of pranic healing. It is so simple.
Yes. Simple yet so powerful and effective. And I hear
Yes.
you when you say when you finish the class, you can start healing because I don't know about you. When I finished even my first basic class, level one class, I started healing and I was getting results, but I wasn't too
Yeah.
sure what I was doing, right? I was just waving my hands and things were happening. So just trust the process because the teacher has already done the work for you, right? So we just got to follow simple instructions. Right.
Yeah, I love
And I'm
that
sure that's the same.
experience because
Yeah.
we just go on, we just think, just moving, how can it do it? But when you actually experience it,
Right.
isn't it amazing? It's so much amazing
It,
results.
it it's truly incredible, especially for the first time, right? Even not even for ourselves as healers, but for the patients, right? It's like the patients get surprised, or the clients, right? Friends and
Yes.
family members, because yeah, especially if they're not exposed to energy healing before in the past.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's
I have
exciting.
many such
That
patients.
yeah. Okay. Well, just to kind of close, Newport, I think we've had a really exciting conversation about your journey into pranic healing, psychotherapy, right? Talking about the different chakras in psychotherapy, protocols, and now the research. If you had someone just come to you off the street, right, Nupur, an average person, and they asked you for advice on how to
Mhm.
help them with their, stress, depression, anxiety, what is the number one tip you would tell them? The number one advice you would tell them?
Well, the first thing, we never advise. We ask them to.
Or
But we
yeah.
but yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. So the one most important tip for going through stress is breathing, and the second is twin hearts meditation. It's like the most powerful, potent thing, and the most simplest thing a person can do. So I think breathing exercises, and for somebody to going through depression, obviously you know that we need to move our bodies because the energy needs to move. So physical work and a little bit of breathing exercises, which helps clearing our energy channels.
Mhm.
That and twin arts meditation. So these are few of the things which can upright help you. Other than,
Mm,
if you come to us, we are here to help you and we can give you more tips. But to start
yeah.
yourself, healing yourself, just get the twin hearts meditation, and don't forget to do the exercises because you need to open up our bodies, for the energies
Mhm.
to move. Breathing
Yeah.
exercises, and you're good. Actually, it's my personal experience. I had severe depression a couple of years back, and
Oh.
I wasn't even doing pranic healing at that time. All I
Mm.
did was 5 months of everyday twin hearts meditation. I could sleep properly. All the meditations, all the medications stopped, and I was happiest than when I started. Like, there's no comparison of how I felt simply by doing twin hearts meditation, but
That's
consistently.
that's incredible, Nipur. I mean, I think you're a case study in itself, right? And thank you for sharing that really profound story of your own, you know, um, personal challenges with depression, as all of us do in our different ways when we come into chronic healing. We have our own physical or emotional things that we work on. But I think we could talk about a whole episode on Twin Hearts meditation, right? A whole separate
Yes.
just 3 hour conversation on how amazing Twin Hearts meditation is, because like you said, it's amazing.
Yes.
Just a couple of months and you're off of all of your medications and you're better than where you started. So that just shows the power and again simplicity of the tool of just meditating and breathing and moving the body, right? But especially meditation. So I think as a part two, we can definitely talk about Twin Hearts meditation as
Absolutely.
well. But I think for today, I think the audience really appreciated your experience, Nipur. In your expertise as a healer, as a coach, right? Guiding your patients, your clients through chronic healing and using these tools to really transform their lives. It sounds like you're doing great work. So please keep it up. And we will definitely chat more next time, especially about Twin Hearts, because again, it can be its own 3 hour lecture.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nupur. It's been an amazing time to talk with you. And I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this episode. And we will see you on the next episode of the Pranic Healing Podcast.
Well, thank you for
Namaste.
listening. Atma Namaste.